All right, so me and BC have been talking about this for like 2 weeks or so. I did finally decide to check my Discord, and when I did, I had a message, and this message came from, his name is Peter Flo on Instagram. He hit me up with a direct message. He said, hey, he said, how's it going, Staff Sergeant? He called me Staff Sergeant. How's it going, Staff Sergeant? I'm active duty Marine E4, and I was looking to inter-service transfer the MOS. I guess one of the MOS that was on my brief sheet was a 12 Charlie. After watching several videos about the MOS, I came across your channel, and I was wondering if you have worked with prior Marines in your MOS and how the MOS is overall. I've watched some of your videos, and I thought I'd reach out. If you have the opportunity to reach back out, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. So to answer Peter Flo's question, yes, I have had the pleasure to actually train several Marines moving from the Marines over to the Army. I love the fact when Marines prior service and they come over to the Army, in my mind, they're Marines, but they're soldiers too. Of course they're soldiers. So they're like Marine/soldier. And I like that aspect about them because they know both sides of the book. The one thing I've been so blessed with as a non-commissioned officer, platoon sergeant, just as a man in general, when you train someone and then you actually get to see them in action doing their job and stuff like that. So one of them that I trained, once he trained, he actually came over and started working in my unit with me, and he's under my leadership now. I have him on here as BC Diddy online, and that's how I'm gonna put his name out there. I don't want to put his regular name out there, his real name, but he's online, and I figured it'd be better to have it come straight from the horse's mouth of how it is in the MOS, just from one Marine to another Marine. How is the MOS? How is the transfer over from being a Marine to coming over and being a soldier? And just in general, what it's like day to day. I wanted to be put out there from a Marine's perspective. So with that being said, BC Diddy, the questions that I'm gonna kind of hone in on what Flores was asking. Question number one, how is the MOS overall in your opinion? As a Marine, you are now a 12 Charlie, a bridge crew member soldier. How do you feel the MOS is working and doing bridging and stuff like that? Let's talk about bridging, and let's also talk about the main thing that we do when we're at our place of duty is what? What is one of the main things that we're normally focused on?
The main thing we focus on before we actually, get to go out there and do everything that we usually do out TA 250 or wherever else we go is mainly preventative maintenance, which I'm assuming he would know of depending on his MOS, because we do the same thing every day. When we're at work, it's PMCS. Well, we don't call it PMCS all the time. It's called an LTI, which is a limited technical inspection, but it's basically the same thing. You look over everything, make sure everything's good, whatnot. But it's the same thing day to day as I did in the Marine Corps, was PMCS basically.
Since we talked about maintenance, what about the job itself, doing the bridging and stuff like that? How is that in your opinion?
Oh no, when we actually get to do like our actual job, like out on the water, oh no, that's top tier fun right there. It can get hectic at times when, something goes bad or wrong, like tensions get very, very high. So everyone starts getting mad, like, what's going on? How can we fix it? No one knows. Great. We're going to have to figure it out. But other than that, it's the best time when you're actually out there doing it, whether you're on EEP, ERP, slip, build, or on boats. It's all fun.
I'm glad that you like the MOS, from being a Marine to a soldier. I'm glad that you like it. Of course, I feel the same way. I think it's fun. Me being a platoon sergeant, I don't get to get as much hands-on. I'm doing more supervising and guiding and mentoring and molding the staff sergeants and the sergeants who are now getting in and getting their hands dirty. So it's a little bit of a different ball game for me, but I still enjoy, and I know, to me, I've done it for years, so I know the fun that you're talking about. So the second question that I want to hone in on from what Flores, just to give Flores some content on his question, kind of a broad question, but how was your transfer from the Marine Corps to the Army? I know the Marine Corps is a lot more intense. To me, it's tougher, especially when you're in boot camp compared to our basic training and how we are in Force Com. I would think that it would get a little bit less tense for y'all when y'all are out of boot camp and actually doing your job, but how was the transfer administratively and just mentally from being a Marine to a soldier? When you left the Marines, all the paperwork and the processing and stuff, how was that coming over to be a soldier?
I mean, all the paperwork was still already there, since all I did was EAS, which is the same thing as ETS. All the paperwork was still there, so I was out for like almost 2 years. So when I finally went to the recruiters, I'm like, hey recruiter, I want to join the Army. I want to be active duty. I went 12 Charlie MOS, make it happen. Made it happen. I went to MEPS, same thing. They already pulled all my paperwork from I was the same recruiting station I went to, so they still had my papers. They were like, yeah, here you go. Take that to MEPS. Went to MEPS. Who here's prior service? I was the only one. Pulled me in, signed all the papers, whatnot. It's basically the same thing as when you first enlist, just you have to re-sign everything for a different branch.
Okay. From a Marine to a soldier, did you have to go through basic training in the Army?
No, so the thing with the Marines to the Army, if you're out for 3 years or longer, you will have to do basic training again, and you will lose a rank. So I got out of the Marine Corps as an E5. So if I would have stayed out for 3 years or longer, I would have been dropped to an E4. So I would have came into the Army as an E4.
Okay.
And had to redo basic again.
Got it. So you only did AIT. You only did the AIT portion of what we call here at our Army post. We have basic training and AIT together, so they call it one site unit training, or OSIT. So you didn't have to do OSIT. You just did the AIT portion, right?
Strictly AIT portion.
Awesome. How was that from being a Marine? You were a non-commissioned officer Marine. Then you had to go do the schooling for the basic training schooling part of our MOS. How was that for you when you was in AIT?
Well, I know some other training units out here for 12 Charlie, they're a little bit different than the one I was at, but the one I was at Delta 35th, and the drills didn't really mess with us unless we did something really dumb. But other than that, it was, hey guys, be here at this time. We're doing this. We did exactly that. They pretty much put us in E5 spots. That way we're ready when we actually go to our unit, instead of doing like the minuscule stuff like all the trainees would do. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that there was really no like messing with us, like making us do like the dumb stuff that they make the trainees do, obviously.
Did you have to march with them? Did you have to march in formation with them and stuff like that? No. So I originally went to Alpha 31st when I first got on post to Fort Leonard Wood, but they were still like 11 more weeks till they hit the AIT portion. Okay. So while I was there, I was staying in the barracks with them up in the drill sergeant's office that was vacant. That's where I was sleeping. And they were like, hey, you ain't got to march with us. You just follow us whenever we go to chow. Other than that, you'll stay here till we get back from whatever training we're doing. But basically, you're going to be on pass every single day. Okay. So just check out with the CQ desk downstairs, tell them where you're going, and just be back by, I want to say it was 1900 was my like curfew. Since I was strictly there for AIT only, they weren't going to make me go out there and just sit and wait with them and just watch whatever they were doing. They were like, I mean, you can come with us if you want. And he's like, but you're just going to be sitting there doing nothing. He's like, or you can just stay here. I know you brought your laptop, so you can, do whatever it is you do on your laptop, or you can go out in town, go stay on post. You can go to the USO. Mm-hmm. You can go down there. They got Wi-Fi. They got games and stuff. Go play pool, bowling, whatever. So you had back by 1900. Did you have your own vehicle while you were there?
No. So my recruiter or MEPS never told me that it was recommended to bring my vehicle, because when I first got to Alpha, I read up on a regulation stating that as an E5, I was not supposed to stay in the same building as trainees, no matter what. So no one told me about that. I would have brought my truck, because when I met the commander that first day I got to Alpha, he was like, do you got a vehicle? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, that means you can't stay at the MOST barracks. You have to stay here with us because you don't got transportation. So for anyone that's joining from any other branch or strictly here for AIT only, definitely recommend bringing a car.
Okay. I kind of understand that same thing. When I was working at FTU, we had like prior service that was coming over, or people who were reclassing or whatever, so they had to stay in the barracks with us for some reason at FTU. And when they did, we told them the same thing, like, y'all can go do y'all training or whatever, but y'all don't have to come to chow with us. The only thing they did at FTU basically was sleep there. It was just somewhere for them to sleep and somewhere for them to live. But other than that, If they wanted to, you know, leave for the day and go to the USO or go to the bowling alley or whatever the case may be, all they had to do was sign out like, hey, Sergeant, I'm leaving, going here. Too easy. And that was it. They didn't have to come do any kind of training or anything like that with us. So, okay, I appreciate that, BC Diddy. And then, so my last question that I wanted to hone in on, in general, after being in the Army for about a year, how does life as a soldier compare to life as a Marine? Just work stuff, everyday work stuff, not your personal life, because I understand different levels of personal life is gonna be different all around the table for everybody. So I just want to talk about work in general. How is work as a soldier day to day compared to work as a Marine day to day? Explain that a little bit.
I will say it's very different from being a prior Marine to coming to the Army, because in the Marine Corps, you know, you would show up for PT at 5:30, PT till 6:30, show up to work by 7:30. Hey guys, this is what we got going on. If we get all this stuff done, we can go home, whether it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever. So nothing really came down last minute. But yeah, there were some days we had stuff come down last minute, like if we had a big inspection coming through or like a change of command or something like that. But I mean, other than that, it's pretty much the same thing as what you'd expect from going from the Marine Corps to the Army, just minus, I will say it's very relaxed compared to the Marine Corps. Because like in the Marine Corps, everyone's really respectful, constantly standing at parade arrest no matter what, until you say like, hey, yeah, you can go ahead and chill out with that. But I mean, for the most part, so once he sees this, he'll understand, like, you can't really go up to your squad leader with an issue. Like, if you have an issue going on, you bring it up to your peers, then you bring it up to your NCO, and then your NCO goes to the squad leader, etc., etc. It's just very, like, calm, more calm than anything.
The Army compared to the Marines.
Yes.
Okay. I have my words on that. I ain't gonna hem them up right now. I'm not gonna talk about them right now in the video. I'll talk with you offline about that kind of stuff. But yeah. So I like that. I like that you said that. It just makes me think a little bit more and certain things. But okay. So yeah. So initially, all you're saying is the Army's a little bit more calm compared to the Marines. To me, it makes me think of standard, right? Standards are enforced way more in the Marines. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
Extremely. Like if like I'll give you this example. So I was in the fleet, which is basically like I'm at my unit. I was only there for about 3-4 months after I graduated my schoolhouse and whatnot. And I went up to my NCO and I'm like, hey, Day, I'm still a PFC at the time. Instead of saying, hey, Corporal Day, I just said, hey, Day, because, you know, I thought we were on that same level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've seen each other for a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I got hemmed up very badly for that. And from that point on, I had to say everyone's rank when I addressed them, whether that would be a private, a PFC, a lance corporal, a corporal, whatever. It did not matter.
Wow. I understand, though. I understand what you're saying. And see, that's what I feel about the Marines, man. The Marines are just... To me, I always appreciate them, and I think I have an idea of how they are. I have no experience of being in the Marines, but the same thing that you see in boot camp is kind of the same as it is once they get out of boot camp. It's a little bit toned down, but the standards are still there. I think the intensity is not as high, but the level of enforcing the standards is still there. And I think it totally changes when you in the Army, once you leave basic training and you go to your unit. And then especially the rank structure also matters also. You know, if you get a specialist, specialists might act different towards an NCO than they did when they was in basic training. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It just makes me think, man. And like I said, I'll talk later. I'll talk with you offline about it. But yeah, I really do appreciate you coming through, BC Diddy, and answering some of those questions for me. In the chat, Cherry saying he's really feeling this conversation and your experience was at ease. So I hope a lot of people do once I post this video out, get some good stuff from it. I want to give a big shout out to Flores for hitting me up on my Instagram and asking that question, just to give a little bit of content for me to put out there. But yeah, most definitely appreciate it, BC Diddy. And now y'all know, and y'all have a little bit of an idea of what it's like to move over from being a Marine to a soldier. And especially, my son just came in here. What? Okay, you gotta be quiet, all right? But you gotta go over there. Scoot over, Chubb. Scoot over. Scoot over. Okay. But now y'all know what it's like to go from being a Marine to a soldier, 12 Charlie, bridge crew member soldier. All right? So I want to thank y'all so much for coming through. I appreciate you, BC Diddy, for answering those questions. Thank you, Flores. Yeah.